This entire Bitcoin move right here has been a true gift in identifying the bottom of the crypto bear market and the macro shift. And if you're a long-term investor, if you're a macro thinker like I am, put aside all the distractions, all the noise, the short-term noise and predictions. This is all that matters. This move and what's taking place on this crypto Bitcoin chart is truly all that matters. So I want to discuss in this video a couple things. Number one, I want to discuss the case for Bitcoin to continue to the upside. I want to look at what that potentially looks like. There are so many bulls right now. There are so many bulls that are just thinking that we're going to continue to the upside. And those bulls, because we're kind of in this momentum power position with Bitcoin, they're not being so nice to the bears. They're not being so nice to the people that are just anticipating a crash or maybe calling this a bull trap. And I want to explore two things: case to the upside, what that looks like, but also I want to kind of identify and also define and explain why even if Bitcoin falls, even if crypto falls right now, for me, this is just how I see the charts as a macro investor, it really doesn't matter. The pivot point has arrived. Time is running out in terms of these cycles. The data could not be more clear. And even if we fall, it's not a bad thing in my view. It's commonplace and it's good. And I want to start with just kind of laying some groundwork here. You all know in this entire bear market, and I just want to document this, we've been discussing the last bear market low in 2018 to the bull market high, this 786 line that Bitcoin has retraced to. And the biggest part of this pivot point for me, and this has been really a huge area of focus, if not the main, this 786 line down here, which obviously is not charted perfectly, but that yellow line is a 786 line. Bitcoin tends to bottom below in bear markets. Just notice, we never entered the second range, the second layer, or the third layer. We've only entered the first layer. So for me, as a crypto person, just being like, hey, if we get here, this is huge accumulation area or just opportunity area for cryptos in general, not just Bitcoin, but for cryptos, this is my roadmap. We never got here. And the whole purpose of technical analysis is to be prepared for each scenario playing out. And if it doesn't happen, the question that I ask myself is, well, if that doesn't happen, am I comfortable with my portfolio? Meaning if the bulls just take off, am I happy? And I can sit here today and just say, we were in that moment. The potential for downside was there, but it didn't happen. And right now I'm sitting here and I'm fine. I'm cool with it. Those accumulation areas might have been nice, a nice opportunity to accumulate some altcoins at a really cheap price. It didn't happen. But what I want to talk about as we kind of exit this time is why this move has been such a gift to crypto holders. And I feel like I see a lot of people just kind of distracted on the short term, which is to say bulls and bears fighting. You see the bulls to the upside, they get this move to the upside and they get overly confident. And you have bears that are just potentially anticipating downside now, calling this thing a bull trap, but the bull's expecting upside. I want to look at both scenarios, to the upside, to the downside, and let's do that right now. And I first want to just go to this chart. This is Bitcoin Weekly, zoomed out. Let's note the most important thing. If we look at this bear market on the RSI, all the way back here, this whole move, Bitcoin, this is the pivot point. This is the new chapter. This is the new era for crypto. The same exact type of thing happened in the last bear market. This was the new turning point, the new era for crypto cycles. And then the previous bear market, this was the new era, the new turning point for crypto cycles. We're here again. The data could not be more clear. I say, again, if you're a long-term investor or macro-minded person like me, this is all that matters to me. And I'm going to sit back and try and be patient with the next move. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, the next move. Because now that we're here and you can see right where Bitcoin is on the RSI is this very similar area of consolidation as it exits the bear market and into a new bull cycle. Each cycle this has happened. So Bitcoin is there right now on this chart on the RSI, this momentum oscillator. So let's look at this. If we kind of zoom in right now and we start looking at the daily chart, this is, first off, the bull case. This is if Bitcoin is to continue to the upside, like many people, many bulls are anticipating, this is what they're looking at. It's just continuation, maybe to $25,000. I just want to note something from a data perspective. If we start digging into what a move like this looks like, a continuation move for Bitcoin, the last time that I can find on these Bitcoin charts that is very, very similar in different perspectives is back here in 2013. It's Bitcoin just making this crazy move to the upside and really not getting much consolidation, on this daily chart to the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average. Oftentimes we see that, these corrections to these moving averages, even in an uptrend, right? But the separation that you see back here in 2013, if we zoom in from those moving averages, really impressive. So if Bitcoin were to continue on this daily chart, a continued move above and away from all these moving averages, it would be very similar to 2013. And it's not only just the price chart, the similarities. We could probably find some similarities of separation on this daily chart and in other time frames throughout the years, but it's not just that. It's if you go to the daily chart on the RSI and you just see how long Bitcoin has just been hanging out in overbought territory, and this is where the similarities to all the way back here in 2013 start coming into play. Look at Bitcoin. This is really the last time Bitcoin did something like this, where it's just really hanging out here and overbought for that amount of time. So zooming out, that 2013 move would be extremely similar. You can see all these other overbought areas for Bitcoin. Bitcoin does just fall back rather quickly. Even if just kind of hanging out in the upper end, it does dip into or out of that overbought area, right? Now, if Bitcoin were to just hang out in the overbought area, very similar move to 2013. One thing I want to point out on this chart, though, is if we go to S&P 500, this is S&P 500 right now. This is a bear market. This is S&P 500 stock market trying to exit a bear market, try to turn around, flip momentum. Well, that 2013 move on Bitcoin that we were looking at, this is the S&P 500 back then. This is the stock market back then during that move, just making crazy moves to the upside. The stock market was as Bitcoin was making move to the upside. This time around, Bitcoin's making this move to the upside, but S&P 500, this is a weekly chart, has been to the downside, and there's this macro shift right now in cycles. And right now, Bitcoin is interacting with markets in a way in which it has never done, meaning we're in this recession, right? We're in this interest rate, inflation problem, and all these headlines every week are moving markets in a very volatile direction. So when we start looking at the 2013 Bitcoin chart, we start saying, okay, Bitcoin's really not in that environment. So is this chart on the daily really going to continue in a similar fashion? I think like many bulls are thinking. The momentum is here. The bulls are here. They're stepping in. There's going to be so many shorts liquidated and that whole entire narrative. It could play out, right? It could, but I'm just saying there's conflicting data in terms of the type of macroeconomic landscape that we're in right now. And that sets us up to anticipate potential downside. I don't know why bulls are just overconfident in like a 40% move. This is crypto. We get these moves. This move is a gift. This is huge and important on the macro zoomed out charts. I really think it is. This is a defining move, defining moment, a multi-year defining moment. But just because that's happening doesn't mean there can't be downside. And there's nothing wrong with just anticipating that continuously. And I get comments a lot that I cause fear, uncertainty, and doubt because I anticipate downside, but it doesn't matter to me. Because even in a downside environment, if we go over here to this Bitcoin weekly chart and start zooming in, even in a downside environment, I just want to lay the case for how bullish this is. This is a new cycle happening, shifting. It's a new era for crypto. So this is why this is a gift to us, this move that Bitcoin has been in, because this is separation. And this is exactly what we've been talking about coming out of that 786 line. It's that yellow line. We wanted to see separation from that area. And right now we've gotten, as of today, around 34%, but around 40% at one point, separation from the 786 bottom of the bear market area. And we've also gotten separation from the 20-week moving average, currently a separation of around 22%. So the reason why that's so relevant is if you just look back, right? You start looking back at previous cycles, and we compared these areas on the Bitcoin charts. Here's back in 2018 into 19, exiting the bear market, slight consolidation after getting the separation. And that's really bullish looking, right? Because there's just been higher highs, higher lows in that environment. But we go to the previous cycle and we can see, all right, Bitcoin actually had an explosive move, but actually revisited the 786 line. This move was a gift for crypto bulls, even though there was a lot of downside in store, just because there was all that separation to put in that downside and make this macro shift possible. So we're in that same exact story right now, or I should say part of the story. This is the chapter that's turning. We have this overextension, this separation from these key bear market low areas, and we have room to the downside. Why is room to the downside important to me? Because if we go to the S&P 500, this is a weekly chart. If things like this 50-week moving average fail, and this is a big move, this is a big week for S&P 500, how this weekly candle closes. But if things like this fail, and if charts come back down maybe to the 20-week moving average, or even to a higher low area, S&P 500 is falling, and we're down like 10% in the stock market and S&P 500, this sets up the case for Bitcoin to retrace on its own charts. It's not because bears are winning. It's just because this is what markets do. They consolidate, they kind of reset, they put in higher lows. And so these areas to the downside, namely the 20-week moving average, 18% to the downside, around 19,000 in play to be tested. The 786 line, a macro indicator that has proven so useful for me personally, 26% to the downside. Even if it's double testing the previous low at 15,000 to 16,000, that's 33% cushion to the downside. And at the end of the day, I don't think it matters, because I think this entire thing, what's happened in the last month or so and what's going to happen in the next month or so, whether it's continued upside or downside, filling in this gap to the downside, the pivot point is here. Time is running out in terms of bears having their fun, right? In the bear market, time is really running out. And so the charts on the macro, to me, is truly all that matters. This entire pivot point is here. It has happened. For me, in my opinion, the worst of the bear market is over. And if you start zooming out on these cycles, the data is just as clear as day to me. And time will tell, right? We'll look back on these charts one day, maybe a year from now, and we'll see what happened. But I truly think this entire move and the pivot point that is happening right now is extremely bullish. We just need to give it time. And we shouldn't get overly enthusiastic for 40 to 50% moves on the Bitcoin or crypto charts. They're good, they're fun, I enjoy them, but I just think we should just kind of be more fair in looking at the charts, and more realistic, I should say, in looking at the charts, and allowing for maybe key resistance areas, because Bitcoin's right below a key resistance area. 50-week moving average, 200-week moving average. Wait for those things to really be broken from a macro perspective, but allow for downside, allow for consolidation, allow for short-term bears to kind of come into play and bring Bitcoin down to key support areas. That's what I want to see, because this is truly what forms a bear market bottom. It's moves like that, and it's consolidations like that. So that's what I'm watching. But I know I'm kind of, a lot of people say I'm not bearish, I'm not bullish. I play both sides, but it's just because nobody knows what's going to happen. And I think it's all that we can do, because in a world where nobody knows, even the top analysts who have been doing this for however many years, they don't know. All we can do is anticipate upside, downside, and make our own decisions based on how we are and how we feel comfortable in our own situations, because we're all different. So this is what I'm tracking on the Bitcoin and crypto charts. Everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you. I'm so bullish. I'm so bullish right now. I probably should have started the video with this. Maybe I'll edit it into the beginning, but I just want to throw that out there. I'm extremely bullish. The pivot point is here. Time is running out. The cycles are shifting. And we're just a part of the story right now, watching it, tracking it. So hit the comments, hit that like. I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.